Everybody, glad you're here. We warmly greet our campus in Janesville. We thank God for you guys, either in Janesville or in this room. It is my heartfelt conviction that Jesus has called you to this place. And you responded, oh my gosh, you showed up. He was at work. He was whispering over your heart. And you said yes, you came. But he longs to do more than call you to this place, to hear. Jesus is calling you to hope. The implications of this fact, I mean, this is rock solid truth. Jesus is calling you to hope, and it has such tremendous implications for every area of your life, to get every aspect of your life to a better place. So huge that every day I pray for you. I pray for you, Ephesians 1:18. I pray that you will know. Now that word know means experiential knowledge. You can't learn it in a book. You can't get it from a professor. You only get it through experience. I pray that you will know the hope, that you will experience this unshakable hope to which the Lord has called you. Jesus is calling you to unshakable hope. We give a lot of our life to false hopes. Did you feel that last night watching the ball game? Yeah, we love our teams. It was kind of like a roller coaster, wasn't it? Those last two passes by Aaron Rodgers, you know, I'm out of my seat cheering and jumping up and down and like, oh my gosh, God lives at Lambeau Field. I mean, they're playing in Arizona, but, and then boom, hopes crash. You see, those are false hopes. Nothing and no one can sustain our hope. No one and nothing gives us unshakable hope but Jesus. And he calls us to hope. He has to call us to hope because we live so much of our lives in darkness. And here's the deal. Here's how Jesus tries to call us to hope. He reveals himself. Now, that might seem weird to our postmodern minds that we have a God who is a revealing God, a disclosing God, a God who shows up and shows off in our lives. But that's our Jesus. And he reveals himself to us by expressing who he is and what he longs to do for us. This is why right now we are studying all the I am statements of Jesus, because with every definitive, declarative I am statement, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the good shepherd. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Every time Jesus makes one of these declarations, he's revealing a different facet of who he is to us and what he longs to do for us. Our struggle is, even when we hear, it's hard to get to him because we're blinded by darkness. I mean, sometimes it's our marriages that go dark, or our emotions that go dark, or our thoughts that go dark, or we're going to have a friendship that just goes dark. It just feels like it's slipping away. Now, I want to ask you a question. When did the darkness begin to penetrate your life, begin to creep over your heart? Was it when you got some really, really bad news from the doctor? He used the C word, and all of a sudden your heart goes dark. Or maybe you lost someone very, very near and dear to you, and you're there at the funeral, and all of a sudden, in those moments, darkness just kind of consumes your heart. Or maybe it happened this week when you did not win the Powerball. Now, we laugh, but there's lots of people living right now in financial darkness, and it hurts, and it feels very lonely, and it feels very hopeless. So Jesus comes. So Jesus reveals. He wants to call us out of the darkness. Here is the coolest thing about Jesus. It's not just that he calls us to hope. Jesus makes hope happen. Isn't that wild? He takes the initiative, he's got the power, and he literally makes unshakable hope happen. I mean, other stuff may be going on outside our life. Things may appear one way outside our life, but Jesus makes hope happen in our hearts so that whatever happens out here has no effect on what's going on in here. It is absolutely unshakable. Now, to tell you, that's like a golf tournament clap. Okay, here we go. to show you how this works, I want to take you into a story. But to get it, to experience it, to hear the voice of Jesus calling us to hope, and literally to have hope happen to us, unshakable hope, we can't just read the story. We got to live it. We got to step into it, embrace it, and experience it. So here we go. By now, it was dark. Say dark. Yeah, that's a big word. Everything hinges on the darkness. Because darkness does something to us. Darkness does something to the way we think. And then darkness does something to the way we feel. And darkness just sucks the hope out of us. By now it was dark in the marriage. By now, parenting had gone dark. By now, in the home, in the heart, it was dark. Jesus had not yet joined them. Neither them or his 12 closest friends, the disciples of Jesus, soon to become apostles. But he said to them, get in that boat, sail to the other side of the lake, and I will join you. And then boom, he's gone, off. And they're like, what did he mean? Join us in the boat now? Are we supposed to wait? Did he mean join us on the other side of the lake somehow, some way later? They were uncertain. They didn't know for sure, and so they waited. What if he wants to go with us and we're just waiting for him to come? And so they waited, and they waited until it grew dark. They waited until it was good and dark. By now, it was dark. And so they're moving. They get in the boat, and they go in. Can you imagine? They are going in uncertain waters into the darkness. Daytime, they got landmarks. They could see. They knew how to get to the other side, but it's dark. It's pitch black. And they're in a boat on a sea. That's the way we go. A marriage goes dark. We begin some financial darkness. Go into some physical, emotional, mental darkness. And it's like we're in the black in uncharted waters. Now here's the good news. Here's the good news. For them then and for us now, Jesus sees. Jesus knows. Check this out. When Jesus knows darkness is coming our way, because he knows Jesus is the first and the last. He's the beginning and the end. So he sees the beginning from the end. He knows what's going to happen in our life before it happens. He knows when darkness is encroaching on our marriage. Darkness is encroaching on our family. Darkness is encroaching on our children, our finances, our whatever. He sees it coming. He knows it's coming. Whoa, go back. I wasn't done. He sees it coming our way, and he goes into prayer. Isn't that wild? That Jesus, Savior of the world, is praying for you right now. He is calling out your name right now. He is calling out your needs to God the Father right now. He knows what you need before you need it. He knows what you need when you don't even know what you need. And he's calling out your name personally and your needs before God the Father. He is praying for you. He sees the darkness coming, and he's praying for you. He's praying. That's what he was doing for the guys back then. Let me show you. After Jesus had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Now this gets me. I love this image that he gets above them to pray for them. I like that image because that's what I want to sense. It is a reality, but I don't always believe it. I'm not always aware of it, and I want to live it. I want to be aware all the time that Jesus is above me and praying for me, calling out my name and calling out my needs. That's what he's doing for you right now. That's the truth. I have a picture to show you what this looked like in the light of day. This is Mount Arbel in Israel. I've been on top of it on occasion, on a Sunday morning, worshiping with a bunch of people from our church, but I've only been there once. This is the Sea of Galilee. Now, I believe Jesus went up on this mountainside to pray. His boys are in a boat much smaller than this. I've been in a boat like that a half a dozen times with people from our church, and every time I'm in that boat, I don't want to ever take my eyes off Mount Arbel, because I want to remind myself that Jesus is above me, praying for me. that he sees me, that he knows my name, that he knows my need, and he's calling out my name and my need to God the Father. That's the image I wanted you to have. That's why I want you to see this picture. I want it to be so real. Now, that's the daylight picture. This is night. This is night. And they're moving through the darkness on uncertain waters. You've been there. I've been there. And Jesus is praying for your marriage. He is praying for you emotionally and mentally. He's praying over your finances. Here's what the Bible says about him. Jesus lives forever. Okay, we got that. He has a permanent, say permanent. Yeah, he has a permanent priesthood. You know what a priest does? A priest takes God in one hand and a person in the other and brings the two together. That's what Jesus did to you today. Somehow he called you to hope. You got here. You responded to his call. He's wanting to make hope happen in your life right now. But what he did was take God in one hand, you in the other hand, and he's brought you here today. That's his priesthood, to get you into right relationship with God. Therefore, he, Jesus, is able to save completely to the nth degree, to the uttermost. That means, yeah, Jesus will save your soul. But he will save your finances. He will save you when your health is in peril. He will save you when your marriage is in peril. He will save you when your parenting is in peril. He will save you in every aspect of your life. But there is a qualification. There is a stipulation for those who can claim this promise. It's those who come to God through a real relationship with Jesus. But when you do, when you let Jesus be the priest and bring you to God, when you let that happen, he saves you in every aspect of your life. Why? Because he lives to pray for you. Isn't that wild? It's like his passion, his purpose is to call out your name, to call out your needs to God the Father. He lives to pray for you. So, check it out. Jesus saw the disciples in the boat straining at the oars. I'm going to believe that when they left the shoreline, they had a sail up. Weren't quite sure where they were going, navigating these uncertain waters in the dark. But boom, Jesus sees it coming. Jesus sees what's going to happen. Jesus saw the disciples straining at the oars. Sail is down. They're trying to row because the wind was against them. You ever feel like life has arrayed itself against you? It's like everything you try, everything you do, you can't seem to come up empty. Just doesn't work. It's like everything is working against you. What do we see? Jesus sees. Jesus sees. In fact, you know, it's night, and Jesus doesn't have any high-tech, fancy night vision goggles. How does he see? He sees because he is God. Night is like light to Jesus. There is nothing that obstructs his view of you, nothing that obstructs his view of your life. So he can see through the darkness, and he watches as they take down the sail, and he watches as they're whipped around by the wind, and as the waves begin to batter the boat. In fact, check this out. The text says the boat, now they're in the middle of the lake. They are far out to sea. They're going nowhere. When the wind came up against them and they were battered by the waves. I mean, first, they're just going out into the dark, unseen. Which way do we go? Trying to chart our course through the darkness. We've been there. We felt what it feels like to have the darkness creep over our relationships, creep over our finances, creep over our hearts, creep over our minds. And then it just feels like life gets hard. We do the best we know to do. We do the best we can do. And we're just stuck in the middle. They didn't know whether to keep going this way, go back this way. They're just fighting forever. And you know what? The disciples in that day, they believed that the Sea of Galilee, they called it the abyss. There was no place on the planet where they were more afraid of death, because they believed that if they went into that water and they went down, they were going into the pit of hell. They were terrified for their lives. But Jesus sees them. Isn't this wild? Jesus, he sees them hoist the sail and do what he said, go to the other side. And then he sees as the wind comes up against them. And then he sees as a sea, this little sea in a bowl of mountains. It's below sea level. And so when storms batter this sea, it just churns it. And the waves are unbelievably high and vicious. And they're battering this little boat. The boat I showed you, it was way bigger. These guys, 12 guys, will fill up this boat. And it is being pounded. They're afraid it's going to be pounded to pieces. And they said something that I've said before, and I bet you've said. You're going through the bills, and there's way more bills than you got money in your checking account. You just got done having a vicious fight with your spouse or your teenager, and you say to yourself, I don't think I'm going to make it. Maybe even whispered aloud, writing one last check, but you got a bunch more bills, and you say, I don't think we're going to make it this time. You know, when those guys were on shore, as it grew dark, you know what they asked? Where's Jesus? Where's Jesus? Did he mean later? Did he mean now? We're waiting. Where's Jesus? Then it gets good and dark. And they're like, where is Jesus? What do we do? I've been there. I've been there through some very, very difficult adoptions. My wife and I, Debbie, living in Haiti for 9 months to get our son out. It's like, where is Jesus in this? There have been times when our marriage was very, very painful. I'd be like, I don't know if we're going to make it. Whew. I'm a pastor. Where's Jesus? Have you ever had something go dark in your life and your heart cried, oh my gosh, where's Jesus in this? Well, I'll tell you where Jesus is. It's where he always is. He is praying for you. You're going to make it because he calls you to hope. You're going to make it because he makes hope happen, an unshakable hope. Here's what happens. About the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went out to them walking on the water. Walking on the water is pretty wild. I mean, I could have buses out there. We could all get in these chartered buses. We could all drive down to the Rock River, and we could all walk across because it's frozen. Yeah, we could do that. Be not big and bad. I'm walking on the water. But if you came over to my home this summer, I have an above-ground pool in my backyard. And we would take turns off of our little deck trying to walk on water. I mean, there wouldn't even have to be a storm, right? It could be flat as glass, but we know where we're going when we put our feet out there, right? Why? What would make us go down? The law of gravity? Oh my gosh, Jesus is defying the natural laws of the world. Why? Because he is supernatural God. It's not just that he can see and that night is like light to him. He is not bound by the laws of this world because he is supernatural. Nothing will keep Jesus from getting to you when life goes dark. Nothing and no one will keep Jesus from you when you feel like you can't make it and you can't go on. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know when he's going to get it done. But I know this, he is at work to your good in your behalf. That's our Jesus. He is full of compassion. He loves to show mercy. He brings triumph out of every trouble. He gives you strength in every struggle. He's your friend that sticketh closer than a brother. He sees the darkness coming, and all the time he's calling out your name, and he's calling out your needs. But Jesus doesn't just pray. Jesus comes. You know, what I want to know is, why did he wait so long? Have you ever felt that way? Fourth watch of the night, in military terms, in that day, meant 3 o'clock in the morning. The hour that is darkest before dawn. That's when he comes. Jesus, what's up with that? Why this last second rescue? Have you ever wondered, have you ever asked him, why'd you wait so long? Why didn't you come sooner? I mean, with those guys, Jesus knows the storm is coming. Jesus knows the darkness is encroaching. Why doesn't he come sooner? First watch of the night. Sails up, they can't see, but they're breezing toward the other side. Second watch of the night, the sail comes down. Oh, baby, this is a strong gale. This is a blasting wind. This is going to tear us apart. They pull the sail down. They pull out the oars, and now they're rowing. They are straining. Have you ever felt a severe strain in your marriage? Have you ever felt a financial strain? You got health issues. That's a strain. You got job issues. That's a strain. Jesus saw them straining. He sees you when you're straining with your children, when you're straining emotionally, when you're straining mentally. They were straining. Jesus sees it. Second watch of the night, he sees them straining, fighting for all they're worth. They're going nowhere. Third watch of the night, from midnight to 3 o'clock in the morning. Now it's not just the wind. Oh my gosh, they can hardly keep the oars in the water. Waves are pounding this tiny boat, whipping it up, dragging it down, getting it in the air, dropping it fast. He sees it. Third watch. They go through that for hours. But in the fourth watch of the night, 3 a.m., he's like, here I come, boys, here I come, and walks on the water. Why does Jesus wait? I think we find the answer in what he's praying on the mountainside when he's above them and sees them. I wonder what Jesus is praying for those guys when he sees them set off sailing in the dark. Well, I wonder what Jesus is praying for those guys when the sail has to come down and it gets harder than heck to row, and then the pound. I wonder what Jesus prays for you when he calls out your name. When he calls out your needs, I wonder what Jesus prays. You know how we learn the secret? Well, one thing, we know how he prayed for one of the guys in that boat. His name was Simon. And we learned this from Scripture. Jesus said, I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. Is that how Jesus prays for you when there's a strain in your marriage? When there's a strain at work? When you're going through emotional, mental strain, financial strain, is that how Jesus prays for you, that your faith may not fail? Here's what Jesus knows. I think he's cheering those guys on. I think as he watches them, he's like, come on, boys, you can do it, but not by your muscle. Not by what you know, not by your skills, not by what you can do, but by your belief. When your belief gets big enough, there will be breakthrough. If your belief is big enough in the first watch of the night, that's when breakthrough happens. If your belief is big enough in the second watch of the night, that's when breakthrough happens. If your belief is big enough in the third watch of the night, breakthrough happens. It's not how big your boat is, it's how big your belief is that's going to get you safely to the other side. Here's what Jesus says. Not by your might, not by your power, not by your power of your personality, not by the power of your ingenuity, not by the power of your bank account, not by the power of your intellect, not by power, not by your power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord. Capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. In Hebrew, that is, I am the God who makes things happen. Jesus says, and he's cheering for the boys, don't rest on what you can do, how strong you are, what you know about the sea, what your experience has been. It's by my Spirit. Cry out. And so I pray for myself and I pray for you every day. Lord, help me, help our church to grasp the height and the depth, the length and the breadth of the love of Christ for us, and fill us to the full with the fullness of God, because that's our only hope. So that's what Jesus is praying for you. He's not praying that you get well. He's not praying that you get money. He's praying that your faith not fail, because your faith is the secret to healing, and your faith is the secret to abundance, and your faith is the secret to the solution of every struggle in your life. Here's another prayer for our benefit that Jesus prayed, that we know he prayed. So I believe he's praying that on the mountain. I believe he's praying this for you right now. Father, for the benefit of the people, that they may believe, that they may believe. It's not the size of your bank account, it's the size of your belief. That they may believe, because their belief, their right belief. What is right belief? Right belief is this, that Jesus is God who came to earth through human birth, that he lived a sinless life, knew no sin, did no sin, and willingly laid that life down on the cross to pay for our sin, and God raised him from the dead. You believe that, and that belief will sustain you in any struggle. That belief will be your strength to carry you. That belief will be your joy and your hope and your utter peace and your unshakable hope. Now there's another prayer. We know this prayer. This is a prayer Jesus taught us to pray, but he taught us to pray it because he prays it for us. This is a prayer he always answers because we're praying together with Jesus for the same thing. Here's the prayer. Deliver us from evil. And you're like, Pastor, it's just a storm. It's a nasty storm. It's a wicked storm, but it's not an evil storm. Storms aren't evil. It's just a storm. But friends, there are some storms that are evil. If he were here with us right now, I invited his wife Nagme to come. His name is Saeed Abedini. And he's been in an evil storm for 3.5 years. He's a pastor, Christian pastor, Idaho, has a wife, little children, and a church. And he felt like God was calling him to go to Iran to build an orphanage. He got the permits. He got permission from the Iranian government. He got the certification, all the papers in order. He got the work permits, but when he shows up to build the orphanage, they arrest him. On what grounds? He's a Christian. He is taken to the worst hellhole in Iran, the worst prison. And there he is put in solitary confinement for being a Christian, for believing that Christ is God who died on the cross and rose from the dead. When he's taken out of that solitary confinement, the other prisoners around him, many of them are ISIS warriors. Do you know what ISIS loves to do to Christians? He is beaten, he is tortured, he is brutalized in an effort to get him to renounce his faith in Jesus. You know what he is forced to do? When he's not in solitary confinement, when he's not in the yard with the other prisoners, he cleans up the toilet. It's a room not with commodes but with holes in the ground. It's just that when he cleans the first floor, when people are going to the bathroom on the second floor, they're going to the bathroom on him. We learned that from his dad who was able to visit him. His daughter had given up. His daughter said, Mom, you might as well forget it. My dad's never coming home. I don't have a father. But yesterday, in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus showed up and showed off in the Iranian government, and Saeed and 3 other Americans were released and given freedom. And this morning, wheels up. They're in the air. They're coming home. My Deb is connected with Nagme, and so we have been praying. I would be on my front porch, and I couldn't stand the thought that I'm enjoying a breeze, that I'm going to be able to walk in the house and open the fridge and get a snack, or go turn on the TV, and this man is stuck, suffering, brutalized, tortured for his faith, arrested because he's a Christian. And so I prayed for him. Every time I thought about him, I prayed for him. God, set him free. God, go to work. And when the belief was big enough, when there was enough big belief, breakthrough happened. I just want you to know that some storms are evil. But let me tell you something about you and how Jesus prays for you. Let me show you this prayer. Father, Jesus prays, I want those you gave me. That's you. That's you. Oh my gosh, this is you. You are a gift of God to Jesus. Isn't that wild? I am. I'm an incredible gift from God. Would God give anything less than amazing? No, that's you. And not only are you amazing and are you incredible, but you are unique. God You are so distinctive, but you are a God-given gift to Jesus. And gifts are given for enjoyment. And so the reason God has given you to Jesus, to be in relationship with him, so that the joy of Jesus goes off the charts, and so the joy in you goes off the charts. You are a gift of God to Jesus, and Jesus praised it. I want those you gave me to be with me. He's crying out that the two of you are together. Father, let us be together in that marriage. Let us be together in that financial situation. Let us be together in that job. Let us be together in their emotions. Let us be together in their thoughts. Lord, I want those you gave me to be with me right where I am so they can see my glory in their marriage, so they can see my glory and experience it in their finances. Excuse me. So they can see my glory. You are a gift of God. And Jesus wants to be together with you. Wants your belief to get big enough that there can be breakthrough in every aspect of your life. So here's what happened. The guys, they see Jesus approaching the boat, walking on the water, and they freak out. They're more scared now than they were before. But Jesus said to them, hey, dudes, it is I. Don't be afraid. Now, that's how we hear it, and that's how we read it in English, but that is not what Jesus said. I'm sorry. And it's not what the boys in the boat heard. To show you what a profound spiritual experience it was for these boys, so you can live in the same profound spiritual experience in your boat. I want to show you exactly what Jesus said and how he said it from the language that he used in the Greek. Ego my Lego. No. Like ego, our ego, I. That's what that word in the Greek means, I. Eimi, I am. This is the name of God. I am. That's why Jesus repeatedly used that phrase, ego eimi, I am. I am the bread of life. I am the door. I am the resurrection and the life. Ego eimi. Jesus is claiming to be God. Speaking over the whooping wind, speaking over the battering waves, Jesus makes this announcement at the edge of their boat, I am God. And since I am God and I am here, phobe, like our word phobia, phobeste, phobeste, fear not, no fear. I am, no fear. Whenever you worry, I know you never worry. Whenever you are concerned, Jesus whispers over your soul, I am God. Worry is wasteless. Concern is counterproductive. I am God. I am your unshakable hope. I am God. I am here. No fear in you. He drives out the darkness. He drives out the fear. When our belief gets big enough, our faith displaces the fear, and we celebrate that Jesus is God. I love this. Look what happened. This is better than the part where he walks on water. That's one miracle. Here's miracle number 2. He climbed into the boat with them, and the storm goes silent. The wind died down. I love that. He stills the storms on the outside of us. But look at this. He stills the storms within us. And those who are in the boat worshiped him as God, saying, truly, we believe it. You say you're God, we believe you're God. We believe, they're not saying because you walked on water. They're saying because you said so. We believe you are who you say you are. We believe truly you are the Son of God. They worshiped. This is so important. for everyone here, because most of us are aching for breakthrough in our lives. Okay, I'm getting tired of this. I'm just going to hold my hand right here so you can hear me better. I'm going to have this surgically attached to my head next week. Yo, I love you. When belief is big enough, breakthrough happens. But when you worship Jesus as God, look what happens. Immediately, bam, the boat reached the shore where they were heading. Bam, they got to where they were going. Bam, the goal was achieved. Bam, they realized, they experienced the desires of their heart. This is huge. I mean, Jesus waits. He'll wait till the fourth watch of the night to come to you. But he comes. And when your belief is big enough, it's not the size of your boat, it's the size of your belief. It's not your ingenuity, your intellect, your personality, how good you are. Nobody's that good. But he comes based on how good he is. And when your belief is big enough, breakthrough happens. But when you begin to worship him as God, he breaks through so you see him as God. And then when you worship him as God, boom, immediately, he satisfies your desires with good things. That's how good he is. It's why he invited you here today. And you had the wisdom to show up. And now he's whispering over your soul, I am God. Come on. Believe who I am. What I can do. And when you do, when you break that into worship, immediately, you stagger out of here, aimed at the destination of your heart's desire. He is the great I am. And he has called you to more than a campus or a room. He's calling you to himself. He is your hope. And right now, some of you, the appropriate response is for you to come to Jesus like you never have before and be joined with him in baptism, being buried with him all the way under the water, being raised up by the power of God to walk in new life. I'd like for you to stand here in our Janesville campus. We're going to pray our way through this. I'll just let you know that right here in just a moment when I come off the stage, one of my friends is getting ready for me to baptize him. So I'm just telling you so you know the water's ready, heated, chlorinated, warm, really warm. But most importantly, Jesus wants to join you in the water. He wants to put your life on a whole new trajectory. He wants to do profound breakthrough in your life. This is one of the highest ways to give Jesus worship, is to humble yourself before him in baptism. So I'm inviting you to that spiritual experience. Let me pray over you about it right now. Our Father and our God, thank you for being willing to give us the gift of faith and build up our faith so we can experience Jesus coming to us with breakthrough. We believe Jesus is God. And we long to be his. We believe you've given us as a gift to Jesus, and now we give ourselves to him fully and freely. Would you please, Father, be moving through this room? Jesus, I know that you're praying for people in this room today that they would yield to you like they never have before in baptism. Would you draw them to yourself? Lord, we worship you as God, our God. We love you. We love you with our lives. We believe. In Jesus' name, amen. Please come to Christ. Please come now as we